everybody laughs at the Deep. And honestly, that joke goes pretty deep. Yeah, I know, the deep joke. We're starting early today. But seriously, even inside the Seven, nobody really respects him. Homelander treats him like a joke. A-Train looks down on him, the media humiliates him, and fans of the boys usually reduce him to one thing: a pathetic loser. But honestly, I think people completely misunderstand the Deep. And yeah, you could say audiences never really gave him a deep chance. I'm sorry, I had to do it. But seriously, what if the Deep was never supposed to be a monster? What if he was actually a broken person created by years of humiliation, isolation, insecurity, and emotional manipulation? Because once you stop looking at him as comic relief and start looking at him from his own perspective, the Deep suddenly becomes one of the saddest characters in The Boys. Imagine being part of the most powerful superhero team on Earth and still feeling invisible. That's basically the Deep's entire life. And wow, this section is getting deep. I'm legally obligated to make at least one terrible Deep joke per section. Moving on. Every member of the Seven has something people admire. Homelander is feared. Queen Maeve is respected. A-Train is celebrated. Black Noir is intimidating. But the Deep? He talks to fish. I mean, a grown-up man talking to a fish? Pathetic. Even his own teammates barely hide the fact that they think he's embarrassing. And when somebody spends years constantly being mocked, ignored, and treated like a joke, that changes them.
And I don't need perverted fish who base themselves endlessly for mere drops of my affection. Is that what you think of me? Since the day we met.
People act like confidence creates arrogance. But sometimes arrogance comes from humiliation. The Deep created this fake celebrity personality because deep down, he never felt good enough. And honestly, the show gives us clues everywhere. He hides his gills, he feels ashamed of his own body, he constantly seeks approval, he changes his personality depending on who's around him. That's not confidence. That's survival. The Deep became obsessed with status because status was the only thing protecting him from feeling worthless. One thing most people ignore about the Deep is that his life is emotionally, well, pretty deep. I promise the jokes will not get better. Is that the ocean is probably the only place where he feels accepted. Think about it. Humans judge him constantly, but sea creatures don't. The ocean doesn't care about his appearance. It doesn't care about popularity. It doesn't care whether he's cool enough for the Seven. That's why his connection to marine life feels so emotional. For the Deep, sea animals aren't just animals. They're the only living things that make him feel valued without conditions. And honestly, that's kind of heartbreaking. Because when he's underwater, he seems peaceful, almost normal. But every time he returns to human society, he becomes insecure again, desperate again, pathetic again. Not because he was born evil, but because he spent his entire life trying to survive in a world where nobody genuinely respected him. And the craziest part? He somehow manages to mess up the one place where he was actually accepted. His peace haven. This man literally became hated by the creatures of the sea. And he's not even a fish. Like, how do you get banned from the ocean when you don't even live there?
If you step 1 foot, one stupid-ass simian toe in the water, anywhere, an ocean, a stream, a puddle, on God, son, you're dead. We're gonna kill you. You understand, you dumb motherfucker? Water is fucking off limits to you. You are dead to us.
At this point, the Deep is basically the aquatic version of that one friend who keeps ruining his own life over and over again. And honestly, that's That's what makes him so frustrating to watch. Because underneath all the stupidity and bad decisions, you can still see someone desperately trying to belong somewhere.
The saddest part about the Deep is that almost every major group in his life manipulates him. At this point, Bro isn't the Deep anymore. He's the Controlled. Okay, that one was terrible. Let's continue. Homelander manipulates him through fear. The Church manipulates him through fake acceptance. Cassandra manipulates him through ambition. Even the public manipulates him because they only care about him when he's entertaining. And over time, the Deep slowly loses his sense of identity. That's why he feels so weak. He doesn't know who he is without validation. A lot of fans call him a lapdog, but honestly, that behavior makes sense when you realize he spent years emotionally crushed by stronger personalities. The Deep doesn't lead because he was never taught self-worth. He follows because following powerful people feels safer than being rejected by them. And that's actually realistic. A lot of emotionally damaged people become people pleasers. Not because they're evil, because they're terrified of abandonment. That's why the Deep constantly embarrasses himself trying to fit in. He isn't chasing power the way Homelander does. He's chasing acceptance. And there's a huge difference. The reason the Deep frustrates audiences so much is because beneath all the jokes, there's actually something emotionally deep here. Okay, I'm done. Probably. Is because people can see that there's still humanity inside him. He isn't completely numb. He feels shame, he feels loneliness, he feels humiliation. But instead of healing from those emotions, he keeps running from them. And honestly, that's what makes him tragic. The Deep never truly learned how to emotionally mature. He became emotionally frozen. Every bad decision he makes comes from the same place, the fear of feeling worthless. That's why he constantly seeks attention. That's why he obeys stronger people. That's why he desperately wants to stay in the Seven. Because without all of that, he's forced to confront the version of himself he hates. A scared, insecure man who never felt accepted by anyone except the ocean. And honestly, if you lived your entire life being mocked, manipulated, and emotionally isolated, you might break too.
I'm not saying the Deep is perfect, but I do think people judge him before they really dive deep. Yeah, that one physically hurt me too. Anyway, I'm saying people misunderstand what created him. Most viewers see a pathetic joke, but from his perspective, he's a man desperately trying to survive in a world that constantly humiliates him. A man who built fake confidence because real confidence never existed. A man who keeps clinging to toxic people because he's terrified of being alone. And honestly, once you see him that way, the Deep stops feeling like a villain. He starts feeling like someone who emotionally drowned a long time ago. Maybe that's why his story feels so uncomfortable. Because underneath all the jokes, arrogance, and bad decisions, the Deep is really just a broken person begging to feel valued. And maybe the real tragedy of the Deep is that nobody ever taught him how. So what do you think? Is the Deep secretly misunderstood? Or do his actions make him impossible to defend? And which character should I break down next?